Alright, here's a video I've been wanting to make for a while. This is a server that I bought almost a year ago, I would say. Well, yeah, about a year ago. It's a Dell PowerEdge 2970. It's a 2-unit rack mount server. Got a lot of power. And I was going to use it for hosting games and things like that, but I don't really play games anymore, so I'm more using it. I'm going to build a movie library with it. All my DVDs and things like that, I want to rip them to AVIs and store them on the unit and stream them over the network to a TV, internet capable TV and things like that, or like a PlayStation 3 or an Xbox. Like I said, it's a 2-unit rack mount server. Right now it's got 2 processors in it. It's a dual processor unit with 6 gigs of RAM in it right now. As you can see, the top comes off. You see I put a little eSATA connector on there, so if I ever want to plug an eSATA drive into it, it makes things a little easier. But see, I'll take this off here. This is a PCI Express riser. And off comes the cover, the cooling shroud. There's the 2 heat sinks for the processors, 2 memory banks, and 4 fans to keep everything cool. This thing can get pretty loud when it gets hot, but typically it's a very, very quiet unit. Unless the ambient temperature in the room gets up real hot, it's pretty quiet. But like I said, if the ambient temperature gets up, the fans will start spinning. You'll hear it. But you see it's got a PERC 6i RAID controller on it right now. I can do all kinds of different RAID combinations. It's got dual power supplies, not because of a huge power requirement. It's actually a very power efficient unit. They're just for redundancy more than anything else. Just to kind of keep, so if, when power supply dies, the unit keeps going. It's a very reliable unit. Actually, all these fans are redundant as well. It only really needs maybe 2 fans to keep going, but they put 4 in there, so you can have a couple die. Obviously, the RAID controller has a battery, so it can keep the cache and the configuration and things like that. It's got a CD-ROM drive, or a DVD burner. Not a DVD burner. It's got a DVD-ROM. DVD burner was optional, but I didn't want to pay an extra $40 for a burner, so I just saved. Actually, it was $60 extra for a burner versus a regular drive. So you can see the connector comes off, or the front cover comes off, and I have 6 bays. I can put up to 6 hard drives in here, all 3.5-inch size. I can put either SAS or SATA. They got 2 terabyte drives out now, so basically I can put up to 12 terabytes of storage on here. Like I said, it's got a little DVD-ROM right there. And here's what I really like is the front LCD. You can actually have a streaming message going across it. Right now it's glowing amber because that shows that it's in an error state. That's because I've got the top cover off. It shows an intrusion detection. It shows an I-1910 error, intrusion detected, things like that. But as soon as I put the cover back on, that should clear up. So I'll do that, and we'll fire it up. And it's even got a diagram on the inside of the cover for everything. That's nice. Much easier to do this two-handed. There. And it just slides on and this thing just latches closed. And that's it. And as you can see, the air cleared up, so it turned off. But I'll power it on. And you can see the LCD is blue. It is clear, no errors, and it just sends a little message through. And you can see it actually gets pretty quiet. But like I said, it's configured right now with 2 SAS drives. One of them's 146 gig, the other's a 300 gig. They're going in a stripe right now, just for performance. I'll probably change that later to a mirror, just so I can have, failover, just so that can be redundant as well. And so yeah, it's got 6 gigs of RAM. It's got 2 6-core processors in it, so basically I got 12 processor cores in the unit. It's an extremely fast unit. There's nothing that I can throw at it that bogs it down. I mean, it's unstoppable. And I mean, AMD has since come out with, 8 and 12 core processors, and Dell now has a box that has 4 sockets in it, so you can essentially put 4 12-core processors and it gives you 48 cores, and I think it'll support up to like 256 gigs of RAM. It's insane. This one, like I said, it'll support dual 6-core processors and up to 64 gigs of RAM. So I don't see myself ever putting that much RAM in it, but it supports it in case I ever did want to. Probably the most I'd ever put in it would be maybe 32 gigs of RAM, just because I've got so much processor power. It could, be beneficial to use that much RAM. But you never know. I may come across an application that is very memory intensive, and I have to upgrade it. Once DDR2 comes down. It doesn't use fully buffered RAM. It's just regular ECC DDR2, 800 megahertz. It'll use either 667 or 800 megahertz. I got it configured right now with 800 megahertz RAM. The processors are, the 6-core. Can't remember the designation that they had for those. The previous one that it came with was a quad-core Shanghai processor, and that was pretty fast too. But these are just crazy. It's they're 6-core, 2.6 gigahertz with hypertransport 3.0, all kinds of stuff. They're very, very fast. I'm very, very happy with the box, and it came with a 3-year warranty. So hopefully I'll get it rack mounted and get my big old UPS. I got a APC 2200 smart UPS out there, big old rack mount sucker. One of these days I'll get that running and plug it into it, and you can see here it's booted up. Obviously servers take a long time to boot up because they don't do quick posts or things like that. In other words, they don't boot very well or very fast. They do boot very well. They don't boot very fast because they go through a lot of self-checks. They do memory counts. They do a full memory count instead of just a quick memory count, just to make sure that everything is running as it should. So you can see there's a desktop here. I'll start with VirtualBox. You can kind of see how fast this thing is. These processors, they whoop Intel's ass as far as virtualization. VMware did a comparison between the 3.33 gigahertz, Xeon Extreme processors versus AMD's 2.7 gigahertz 6-core processor. Actually, no, it was a Shanghai quad-core processor was what it was that they did it. It was I'm pretty sure it was a 2.7 gigahertz Shanghai processor. It whooped Intel's ass. They couldn't keep up with it. It was insane. But I got basically an Ubuntu VM going here. I'll show you how fast this thing starts up. Click start. Fires up. It's going. Starts to load. And that's it. It's at the desktop. It's insanely fast. This machine is crazy. But power it off and it goes down just as quick. But let me see. Close that. I'll show you the task manager here. As you can see, 12 processors and 6 gigs of RAM. I know that's not a whole lot of RAM for 12 processor cores, but hopefully I want to get it up to 16 gigs and go from there. I think 16 gigs will be just fine for what I use it for. Excuse me. But that's pretty much it. Yeah, I mean, you can see it's pretty quiet. It's running right now. As long as it doesn't get hot in here, it'll stay pretty quiet. So if you have any questions, comments, whatever, just let me know.